Hello, Doctor Who fans, and welcome to another Who C2C Corner to Corner podcast. My name is Paul, and I'm joined once again by my very good friend Jeff. Say hi, Jeff.
Hi, Jeff.
And as promised previously, we also are joined by Mr. Ray Holman, costume designer for Doctor Who for many, many years. Those of you who tuned in to the first part of this podcast will have listened to Ray waxing lyrical about many, many stories behind the scenes. And we've got more of those stories to tell. So without further ado, should we crack on?
Let's go for it.
Let's go for another Twitter one, which is somebody has got in contact with us. It's Let Your Notchy Lead at Goddess YK13, who asks, which among Who or outside of Who are the toughest costumes to create and why? It's probably quite a big question, that one, isn't it? That'll keep us going for a little while.
That is quite a big question. I think that whatever job you do, you start afresh, and no costume is simple. If you do period productions, there's a lot of academic research and a lot of historical records that relate to period costumes. So it's kind of, those are, because when you reproduce period costumes, it's seen as more academic and sometimes a little bit more skillful. But the invisible thing that happens in the world of costume is that if you're watching a contemporary program and you don't notice the costumes, or the costumes are so suitable, the costumes help the story without actually taking you out of the story, then that's a really good costume job.
Because that's what you want them to be, isn't it? They've got to feel natural and in their world, presumably.
Yes. So what you're doing when you're making contemporary series is you're not. Sometimes contemporary series can be out there, and that's really, really good.
Yeah.
But you're not putting. I would never say, right, I'm Ray Holman. This is what I want on this, and this is going to really showcase my name.
Yeah.
This is really going to, show everything I can do. You have to work to the script. And sometimes, and contemporary clothes are very, as we know, are very subjective. Even the taste in doctors' costumes is very subjective.
Very much.
And costume generally is very subjective. So I would say that no one costume is easy. I think you have to kind of, even if you get a day player, somebody in one scene, you spend as much time on that as you would with your main artists. I don't think there's anything that's tougher really than.
I suppose a lot of it depends on the challenges to a particular costume, don't they? I mean, I was reading in your interview with Doctor Who magazine that you had the Grand Serpent was going to wear a tie that you'd found in Italy.
Oh yeah,
and it had to be imported or something. So something which should have been quite straightforward actually turned out to be quite difficult or painful in some ways.
Yeah, I mean, when the Grand Serpent's tie was a story because it was a history where a certain political action had happened in this country. Yeah. So, and import dodgy. All I'd done was order a tie with say,
just a tie in a big box.
Lava. And we didn't think we'd get it, and I really wanted it.
Yeah.
So we didn't think we'd get that. But for example, there are more technical things. I mean, one of the I can in relation to Who, for example, I don't think any costume is simple. But some of the toughest costumes on Who were the creature costumes, and the one was Ashad, and the others were the dregs.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So they're quite technical.
Yeah.
And they're quite a number. They involve animatronics.
Yeah, I was say fit the prosthetics and everything in.
We're remote controlling the lights, and so they are technical in a different way.
Yeah.
But also when you're doing a creature costume, it can also be simpler because you do a drawing for a creature costume and the creature costume is that drawing.
Yeah.
Whether you're drawing, I mean, we all know now that the sea devils are in, whether you're drawing a sea devil, whether you're drawing, that is the costume you present to an actor, and they go and wear it, and they wear them and they perform in them. With a contemporary costume, it could be much, much more painful.
Yeah.
Contemporary costuming is very subjective, and people have different tastes. The toughness or the complicated nature of things is different. A dreg is animatronic. You need a specific sized person to wear a dreg's costume. It's hot. Sight lines are bad. They're hard to fit. You have to keep painting them. But those are all physical things that you can deal with. A dreg doesn't talk a lot. They're there to scare you. Whereas a doctor or the lead in, say, Broadchurch, David Tennant's and Olivia Colman's costumes in Broadchurch, they didn't just look the way they were. David's suits were broken down. They were fitted. Yeah. He wore them in a scruffy way. Ellie in Broadchurch just didn't care about her clothes. That's equally as challenging.
So it's reflective of the character. It's like practical considerations. It's again, like we said, with branding and stuff as well. There's so many things that you've really got to think about, isn't it?
Yeah, and one of the things that I used to do a program called Nesbitt, and Gregor Fisher, the actor.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, I remember
Nesbitt.
Part of his costume was this was in the 90s, was a vintage pair of 70s Adidas sand shoes. And were not available. You could not get them.
Oh.
Only walk as Nesbitt in those shoes.
Yeah.
So I used to have to recreate them. And
see, that's something, isn't it? You'd never think of that, a pair of shoes.
So the shoes create the walk.
Yeah.
The boots on the doctor creates her walk. Do you know what I mean? So,
yeah.
So it's all considered.
It all has to be considered. The other thing as well is, because you mentioned earlier that you didn't feel you were quite ready for Doctor Who or sci-fi, particularly in that way. Now that you're on the other side of that and you're fully grounded, I would imagine you're one of the absolute authorities in costume design for TV sci-fi. Do you have a preference now between either the kind of real world stuff and the more fantastical, or are you are they 50-50?
Yeah, I think it's 50-50. Well, my thing at the moment is that I've been on Doctor Who with Jodie I've done things in between.
Yeah.
I've done 3 series and 3 specials.
Yeah.
Or even more specials.
Even
anyway,
more.
I've been there for a while. Doing that, and I feel I could do with a break from that, because you can't keep churning out ideas. You start repeating yourself, and there's a part of me, and as you know from our chat today, I like doing social conscious drama, doing drama based on novels, and so as long as I can get a bit of both, then I'm happy. I went off. There was a very brief break between series 11 and series 12, but I did Fleabag because I knew Phoebe, and it was hard work. But I mean, if I hadn't done it, I would have really regretted it. That really took off.
It's really popular, wasn't it? I watched that. I loved it. I thought it was great.
And I love that because it's not Doctor Who. I don't mind being defined as Doctor Who, the Doctor Who designer, but also there's loads of other strings to my bow as well.
Yeah.
I bring all that experience to Doctor Who.
Yeah.
But I also like to take it out into other areas as well.
So what do you feel excites you then, Ray? When what makes you attracted to a particular project?
Mainly scripts.
Yeah.
When I first read Silk.
Oh yes, yeah.
The scripts were absolutely amazing. When I first read This Is Personal, The Hunt for the Yorkshire Ripper, amazing scripts. here's a story about Broadchurch. When I first read Broadchurch, I really wanted to do it. Episode 1 was phenomenal, and I was told that it wasn't necessarily mine. I had to fight for Broadchurch.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Even though I knew Chris Chibnall, it just wasn't automatically coming my way.
So back to what you were saying again about things being competitive.
Yeah. So, and I did get Broadchurch and I loved it. The thing that caught me was the script. I think it's different on Doctor Who because you don't know what the scripts are going to be. So, and also you get bogged down in technical design.
Yeah.
And so my job is not to write the script, is to design it. It's Doctor Who, particularly unusual job in that with other series, I will know what all scripts are, and I'm really fussy about them.
Are you? Yeah.
I will. Yeah. I will turn down, as I just have a really big, expensive job.
All right. Yeah.
What a job, because the script is better. I read every script that gets sent to me, and so if it is, if it kind of appeals to me, then I'll go off and do it. And it doesn't matter whether it's huge job or a small job.
Yeah. And by appeals to you, do you mean like the story of the script, or do you mean like the possibilities that it has for design?
Both, I think. I think that I have an interest in social justice and stories, and sometimes in crime drama. So that combines both. But I also have an interest in science fiction. So I just need to kind of balance it all out in my life.
Yeah. Do you watch and read much other sci-fi then? Would you consider yourself a fan of that, or somebody who kind of dips in and out?
I really like one of my films is Blade Runner.
Oh, I love that. My top film. Yeah.
And so that is one of my always go-to watch films.
Did you watch the sequel of that one?
Yes. Yeah.
What do you think of that?
Which I thought was great.
I thought it was. Yeah, definitely.
It's hard to pull it off, isn't it?
Because how do you top something like that, which is a big cultural event? It's a landmark in cinematic history as much as anything else, and you're going to throw a sequel at it.
I remember it at the time, though, and it wasn't.
No, that's it. Nobody knew what it was, did they? It was like they didn't even know how to market it.
No, they didn't know what to do with it. Yeah. So, and therefore you have to think to yourself, sometimes when you make things and people don't automatically get them, it doesn't mean that it's wrong.
Exactly.
It's just not come out at the right time.
It's a bit ahead of its time almost, which I think Blade Runner was, and yet also took a lot of inspiration, particularly from a design aesthetic, from a lot of things that have been going on before, things like 2000 AD comics and all those, all the sci-fi stuff, which Ridley Scott just loved and just poured it all in there, didn't he?
No, it's great, and I love Star Trek, and I love Discovery. Except I haven't watched the last series because I don't know what platform it's on anymore.
No, it's on Paramount Plus now, isn't it? Which we can't get over here, so not legally anyway. I don't think.
I'm waiting for that, but I am a fan. But I'm also a fan of real life drama.
Yeah.
Like Maxine Peake's just been in Anne. Well, I look at I know Maxine.
Yeah.
We did Midsummer Night's Dream and we did Silk together.
Of course, yeah.
And I look at it and I think, if I wasn't doing Doctor Who,
you'd be doing that.
I wouldn't necessarily be doing it, but I'd be like, that's right up my street. So
actually, just on that subject, are there any other projects or any other films or whatever it is around that you think, okay, that's one thing I would really love to be on, but you're not, or it would never happen? I mean, I doubt, actually. I think if you asked, they would have you in because you're such a superstar. But
well, you know what? I don't know, because I'm going to tell you. Right, I'll explain a little bit about Doctor Who.
Please,
I don't know if this is right. This is my take on it. Okay, a costume department on Doctor Who, comprised of me, the designer, Simon, my assistant designer, Grace, the supervisor who runs all the trucks, 2 standbys who go on set, and a trainee. And it took years, and I only managed to get somebody to run the workroom last series.
Really?
I think that showed on screen, but the BBC couldn't afford it before that. And so that's what it is. Whereas you get other big science fiction things, and they run like films, and so we can't compete on Doctor Who. We you know, people think we can, and we make it the best
I know what you mean.
Can do. So in a way, sometimes people are a bit snotty about Who, because you know the BBC isn't Disney. It's not Marvel. I'm hoping for that Russell will manage to get some really good financing.
Fingers crossed. Yeah.
He'll really move it forward. And make different worlds out of it. But that hasn't quite happened yet. And when it has, we're working with the BBC budgets, and BBC budgets are. I'm not moaning about them because it's a skill to do within budget, and I think people sometimes forget.
I agree. Yeah,
we're all working to a specific budget. And we can't. We can only do. There are only certain things we can do, and so when you're doing something like Doctor Who in a science fiction way, it can be at the bottom of the rung in comparison to other things. But that doesn't, and because you can't show all your skills. But what you do is you're showing the skill of doing in a restrained way.
Which is a skill in itself, isn't it? And it's interesting because particularly what you say there, because the production quality of Doctor Who that comes through on screen, every single aspect of it as a viewer, it comes across to be at such a really high level, an incredibly high level, certainly when you compare to what it was before before it came back. The production values I see on Doctor Who now are kind of what I used to dream they would be when I was a kid growing up in the 70s. So to see it actually now, and I know what you're saying, because the budget is a minuscule fraction of what they would get with Disney Plus and Marvel and all those sort of shows. And yet I would argue that at least from a visual perspective and the storytelling, it looks to the viewer as if it's on the same level. Because the production values look that good, the scripts and the stories are that good, and everything else is a part of it. I mean, I remember looking at Lord of the Rings, the Peter Jackson films, all the extras on there where they go behind the scenes and they talk about the detail that would never be seen on screen. And yet the designers and the artists, they all make these little designs, the finest little detail. And yet I hear you doing it on Doctor Who as well. Look at Azur's costume, those beautiful creations, that we...
Well, yes. I mean, I think we try our best, and everybody who works on Who pours their heart and soul into it. I think when people compare these things, they forget. That's all. They just don't. It's not a malicious thing. It's people forget, or they just don't know.
I think that's it.
The scale and budgets are different, and Doctor Who has, in terms of the quality of its production, has got better. It learns every series to get better. Every showrunner has brought something different to it. In order to, I mean, I've worked with it since, I think when we did Matt's first series, first kind of putting its feet, touching its toes into America.
Of course, that must have been
point. And now it goes to all sorts of different countries around the world. And so it's always improving, and long may that continue.
Absolutely, and like you said, the future hopefully is in now good hands as well, because we've got Russell taking it back on, Bad World Productions, and let's hope they do get the budget to make it even better. I mean, both Jeff and I and a lot of our followers on Twitter are really big fans of the current era. Chris Chibnall's Doctor Who, Jodie's portrayal, and the quality and depth of the stories, and everything from that to the design. I mean, when we first saw Storm and Azure, the Ravishers, Ray, they were astonishing. They are astonishing. I love those. The whole glam rock kind of feel, the sort of Day the Dead, that sort of aesthetic to it. I love it. The fact Doctor Who can just come out with this stuff, and with you guys at the center of that creativity, just pulling this stuff out of your brains, it's fabulous.
Yeah, it was really good fun, and I think what Flux did was, because we were all in lockdown, and it got
of course, that must have been tough.
We were concentrated though. We could concentrate our efforts, and just it felt like we were all working to the same end. And trying to be as creative as possible. There's a line you can't cross on Doctor Who. You can make there's a certain scariness. What is that scariness? We never use blood. So there are rules.
Which sometimes they went over in the 80s. So I think they did get a bit bloodthirsty sometimes.
But it's I think it's just going to get better and better. And what I think the good thing about it at the moment is that it still has its identity. It could so lose its identity.
Very much so.
Globally, if it's compared too much to Marvel films and to Disney, to lots of other science fiction stuff. Doctor Who is a unique British event, and the nice news is that it's not going to lose its identity to that. It's going to, people are working hard for it to retain its but to expand without compromise.
I think that's true. I think that reminds me of some of the discussions that were going on in the 90s when they were talking about bringing it back as an American co-production, and a lot of people were concerned that it might lose its identity, which I think a lot of people sort of label as a uniquely British identity. I don't think it is necessarily uniquely British, although it probably is, but it is a specific identity of that program itself.
And it's the longest. It's a really long running. I in a way I think it is quite British. I don't, but if you ask me to break that down, I wouldn't be able to.
I know that's the thing. It's because I think it's unique of itself. I don't think it
does deal with universal themes.
It is, exactly. That's it. And now it feels more global and universal than ever. Really.
Do we think it's the character of the Doctor? It doesn't matter what gender.
I think it's a lot of that.
Of the Doctor is quite eccentric. And
very much so.
Maybe that's what I mean by it's British. It's British identity. I don't know, but
it's something that scholars can ponder over. Cultural historians can look at in far more detail. For me, I'm just going to enjoy the show. I've been watching it since I was a kid, so it's and I'm still a kid now. So now, Oh, that's fabulous, Ray. It's been really fabulous talking to you. I can't thank you enough for jumping on here with us. I do have one more question which I would like to ask if you have the time.
Yeah, of course.
It's about where's it gone? Oh yes, because Jeff, this 500 reasons which is mentioned on your website. Would you tell us about that?
500 reasons is a little it's an initiative that me and Joe Sims, who worked on Broadchurch, and a couple of other friends set up. Joe's idea, and there are 500 people who are friends, and we all pay £1 a week into a bank account which Joe runs, and that £500, or any of those 500 people can nominate a cause or an individual they think are in trouble and may need some money. And every week we give away £500 to a cause, or an individual, or a charity.
All right.
But the four of us discuss it, and it's kind of a closed group. in many ways, and we've been doing it for about 4 years. But
Yeah.
Julie Hesmelage, who was also on I've worked with Julie on, what have I worked with Julie on? Broadchurch, Doctor
She was on Broadchurch, yeah.
Act. But she's one of my members of 500 Reasons, and she's set up her own version, which is in Manchester, called 500 Acts of Kindness.
Yeah.
500 Reasons, we're a closed group. And so it's just 500. Because we all work, we can't really make it bigger. We do enough with it as it is. But I think Julie's 500 Acts of Kindness, she accepts new members, and so she helps in the north, and she does that through Facebook, I think, as well.
Brilliant. Yeah.
Except it's not Facebook anymore, is it? What?
Oh, Meta now, isn't it? I think it is Facebook by Meta. Yeah, the metaverse now.
And so that's what it's just because that's a constant in my life.
Yeah,
whatever I'm doing in work, I have to stop, and we have to decide on who's going to receive the money that week, and we have to write it up. We do that every week. Yeah, and I know. Can I just tell you about?
Please.
I'm going to move on to the Albert scheme.
Yes, please do.
We've literally just talked about that with. I've only talked about it recently because with Aisling we decided to publish where we got her costumes from, and we were doing non-slave fashion, ethical costuming. But Doctor Who has been a part of the Albert scheme, and the Albert for years. The Albert scheme is a certificate is one you get, and you have to prove that you've made your program sustainably. And so, I mean, it's quite easy on Doctor Who to do that, because even though there isn't the Who experience at the moment, but we do keep the costumes. We're hoping they will go out at some point.
I think many people would love to see an exhibition again. I really would.
But we do have them. And now they're going across to Bad Wolf, and they are there, and they're not just thrown away. And that's part of me having a store as well. It's in order to not create more waste in the world, and reuse the clothes that have been used before. Not only does it save money on budgets, but we're also looking at ways that we can recycle our plastics, and not so much plastics that we don't use. With the clothes that we use on productions are ethically sourced, so we don't use slave labor from foreign countries. But that's what Albert is all about. And I think Doctor Who has been attached to Albert for many years. Yeah.
I think I've seen the certification logo on the end of the credits over quite a few years now.
And I think just because Aisling and I did that with her costume for the special, deliberately through that, because Aisling's sister wrote something called the Costume Directory, which is about how to, a couple of years ago, which is how to sustainably create costumes, and we referenced that. So put it out there in the world a bit more.
Fabulous, So we can put a link to that on the end of the podcast as well. We can do all that sort of stuff.
Have you seen? I think the costume.
If
you Google the Costume Directory. It comes up.
Let me do that. Let's have a look. The Costume Directory.
Yeah. Hold on. So I've got.
Look at that. There it is.
So, but I had this. I mean, when Aisling and I spoke.
There's the Facebook group. Yeah.
I always had this, so I did
spiral-bound notebook, listeners.
We've been doing it, so it was good, and she wanted to publicize it.
That's brilliant. Now we'll definitely help with that one, and that's fabulous. Do you know what? I keep thinking I've got one more question.
That's fine.
Which has to be okay. So I'm going to go back to Flux now, because I honestly I've really enjoyed this series. Right, really enjoyed it. One of the things I enjoyed the most was seeing the Sontarans back.
Oh yes.
And the Sontarans, as they appeared in the 70s, as it felt like they'd gone back to their kind of brutish, kind of weirdly alien, stocky looking potato faced kind of personas that they had. As a sort of Doctor Who / science fiction aficionado, did you feel any kind of responsibility to get that right, in inverted commas? Was it a
do you know what?
Pressure?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think to get the main references right, but also to move it forward.
Yes, because
if you direct, there's always. I think this was one of our questions which we haven't really answered yet. But basically, when you're redesigning a classic creature, you don't want to copy it directly.
No,
you just want you want something else in that costume, and you have a choice. Either you change it completely and you change the nature of it, or you're true to the original thing. Thing. And we decided to be true to the classic thing, but to take it forward, to move them forward. And so when I think I said in the magazine, when Chris and I were talking about the Sontarans, and I think I said to him, yeah, they need to be dirty, filthy Sontarans.
Dirty, filthy Sontarans. I love that.
Because he was saying they're warmongering.
Yeah.
He laughed. He said, "Oh yeah, well, that's what we're going to call them. We're going to call them dirty, filthy Sontarans."
Oh, that's fantastic.
And then we had all sorts of ideas. I'm going to show you. There's the sketch.
There we are.
In the magazine. But I'm not sure how many of these sketches have been in the magazine this year. I'll have to check because
have a look.
I have a file. This is Flux.
Oh my goodness! Look at that. That's just Flux, is it?
Flux costumes. Yeah. And there's Jodie's navy coat.
Oh, there we go.
So I'll have to check what's been there. I could so easily get into trouble. When we've talked about the costumes, I really enjoyed the fact that we can talk about them first through the magazine, which is attached to the program. And it's so easily on social. It's so tempting because you want to share it. You want to show people what you've done, and I mean, I've just got to hold back because I can't reveal everything. I mean, there are protocols.
Of course,
the program, and so we try and work out what you can say and what you can't say.
That must be difficult. Again, it's like going back to when you were fitting Jodie's costume and you were part of that secretive inner circle. You must have been tempted, or just be the voice at the back of the head.
No, that's too serious. That's too serious. That is really.
This is why I would never get that job, because I'd be like,
lockdown. Do not mention it.
Yeah.
It's even, but the with her navy coat, I've wanted to change the color of the coat for ages. Jodie loves her costume. She wanted to change the costume. The BBC were of the idea, stop it, leave it alone. It's not broken. Don't fix it. It's out, but. I did make up the navy coat.
Did you?
without permission. So we made the navy coat, Chris Kerr and I had it on a mannequin in a fitting room, and I sent a picture of it to Chris Chibnall. I said, I've got this, by the way. And then he sent a bonkers episode 3 in. And I was like,
what the hell is it? Yeah.
First read it, it was like, wow, what does this mean? Because also we have to make sense of what the scripts mean. And I remember first reading it saying, you need a different visual reference for the Doctor.
You need a new coat. Yeah.
Guess what we've got?
Just so happens that we have something that we could use.
That is absolutely right. That's what that coat is for.
It's brilliant. You probably can't say, but I was going to ask, are we likely to see Jodie wear that again?
I can't say.
You can't say. I knew you couldn't say. Thought I might as well ask anyway. That is fabulous.
There's still that's the trouble with doing these things.
It is, isn't it?
I really went to Galley 1, and
did you? Yeah.
And basically, I'm going to start work soon anyway, so I can't. But also, while there's 2 big specials,
I know.
broadcast, I just thought I can't do that. Because, because I don't try. I really, really want to share what I do, but it has to be in the right time and the right place.
Absolutely. Yeah, it does. We understand. Yeah.
It does. And there are 2, the specials to come are great, I think. I haven't seen them, but very hard on them. So
it's kind of exciting as a viewer, but also quite sad in a way as well, because we all want more Jodie. We really do. We just absolutely love her. It seems to me that the last run of few series actually have just. One thing Doctor Who does every now and then is inject new life into itself. It finds new breath, new wind from somewhere, and it just powers forward with new energy. It's constantly evolving, constantly changing, and it just, to see that happening for me anyway. I never like things that stand still. I do like things that constantly move, and maybe that's why I'm still a big Doctor Who fan even now. But it's I'm just ranting off now, aren't I? It happens.
It does need to move forward constantly. Maybe that's why people get narked on social media. But then, they get narked on social media because they can.
Exactly. And people are going to get narked about something regardless. So it's, as long as we do what's right for the thing, that's all we can do, isn't it? So
I went through a period of being really worried about social media, and it is tricky when you want to be on it, but you're doing a job where you mustn't reveal too much.
Self-discipline then, isn't it, I suppose?
It is. Yeah
Brilliant. So what are you working on next, Ray?
I'm going to work on a series called Wolf, for Hartswood Television.
Okay.
Which is going to be on the BBC, I think. So it's a 6-part series based on a novel, on a series of books by an author called Mo Hader.
Okay.
And it's a contemporary series.
Yeah. So again, flitting between contemporary and fantasy. Any more historical stuff on the horizon?
It's a thriller. No, because I'm doing one job at a time at the moment.
Quite right too.
It's a thriller, and I just need to. I'm looking forward to starting that one. So it's polar opposite to Doctor Who.
Yeah, is it kind of a heavy, scary thriller? Is it a really serious adult? Or is it a bit...
Yeah, it's intriguing. Yeah.
Ooh, I like intriguing. That's good.
Can't say too much yet.
Again, can never say too much. This is why I.
Go on. Sorry.
I was going to say that this is why when you go to Comic-Con and things like that, and you get a panel in from a TV show, and everybody wants to hear about the new series. What are you doing now and everything? It's like, well, we can't tell you.
Yeah. Can't say much about it. Really, it's a really good team.
Yeah. Oh, that's fabulous. That's brilliant. And just finally, I promise this, have you any message for any Doctor Who fans, perhaps those who want to get involved in, design work, in working for TV, or just general messages?
Yeah, you know what? The loveliest thing about Doctor Who is it inspires all the amazing fan art.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
There are some people, there are a few students at the Royal Welsh College of Music and Drama who literally are there because of Doctor Who. They're studying design and costume, and I've had 1 or 2 of them in. There was a young lady who's come from America to study College of Music and Drama, who I couldn't get in last year because of COVID, but would have.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And so I say, if it inspires you, good on you. And some of the stuff that comes through is completely amazing. And I'm really, really pleased that it's encouraged, because the thing that it shows, I think, is that just how many different disciplines
Yeah.
are available that involved in Doctor Who. So it, even in costume, it can be designing, assistant designing, costume making, costume breakdown, costume painting, creature, dressing creature performers. There's a lot of different things involved, and even if you go to set dressing or prop making, what Doctor Who does amazingly well is educate people towards that, and I hope it encourages people to get involved. I mean, I love seeing all the fan art. It's so amazing. Actually, I love seeing the cosplayers as well. I mean, the last time I did anything to do with that was when they did something at the XL. Do you remember? Did you go to that when Peter?
The 50th anniversary?
No, there was one after that. After we'd done Series 9, I think we did 3 days at the XL.
Right.
And I set all the costumes up.
Okay.
And we did competitions and all sorts of things, and it was just brilliant to be there and see everybody and how everybody, tries to make things and learn experience. So
it must be quite interesting. I mean, seeing your creations come to life, on other people have been so inspired by what you do to think, well, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to wear that, and I'm going to go out there and I'm going to be this character.
Yeah, and I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah, well, I'm sure you'll carry on challenging cosplayers way into the future, because honestly, there seems to be no end to your imagination, Ray. It's really quite a thing to see on TV.
Well, there's more to come. So,
yes,
and maybe by next year I can go to Galley One and I can freely talk.
That'd be something, wouldn't it?
Things
free to talk and tell the world about the new stuff.
I mean, that's liberating for me. I'd love to tell everybody everything, but I can't. So, but once the next 2 specials get broadcast, then maybe I can talk about things. Yeah.
Well, like you said, we got Sea Devils coming up next. Looking forward to that one.
Yeah. So, yes, it's
Oh my! Ray, I'll tell you what. Should we leave that there? Is there anything else that you'd like to?
No, I'm not going to tell you. I'm just going to say thank you for talking to me and making this such a nice experience. I get nervous and I get worried that I'm going to say something inappropriate. Hello.
Oh, there we go.
Hi.
How are you?
Hello.
Yeah, you're doing all right, aren't you? We've been playing. So you've got your Elsa puzzle,
yeah. All I'd like to say is keep going, really. Keep enjoying the show, and hopefully keep getting more skills from watching and recreating and painting and drawing.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Being inspired. Fantastic. Ray, thank you so much for being on our little podcast. It's been an absolute event. It's been a life event, this one, for me. I've really enjoyed it.
Will you let me know wherever it goes? Or when
absolutely.
Brilliant. All right. Thank you very much, both.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ray. Wish you all the best. Thank you very much.
See you soon.
Take care.
You too. Bye.
Well, Paul, that's been absolutely brilliant having Ray join us for the podcast.
It's been a lot of fun. Really enjoyed that.
Really good. We hope you've enjoyed listening to that. So much inspiration there and great stories about everything from across his career. Ray, we'd just like to say, thank you so much for taking the time to do that. We really appreciate it. Paul, we said before, maybe we'll talk for 45 minutes or something with him, and he was so generous with his time. And you might have noticed this second episode, Paul was kind of largely flying solo on it. I had
why was that, Jeff?
Well, I had to leave because my twins were poorly, so I wasn't able to stay for the whole conversation, unfortunately. But I have been able to listen back to it whilst I've been editing. But yeah, Ray was just that incredible.
Ray was fabulous, real gentleman throughout, from start to finish. We really appreciate his time. I genuinely feel humbled that they spend the time talking to us.
But who are we? We're just fans of the show, and we could gush about it for ages, but thank you. It was absolutely incredible. So we will be back soon with another episode of Who Corner to Corner, and we hope you've enjoyed this this episode, and that you'll stick around, and we'll
stick around. You never know, we might have more guests on.
You never know. Who knows?
Dun dun dun. Cue music.